Hi, I'm Shiv.
And I'm Chitra.
We are the co hosts of this show, Software People Stories.
We're happy to bring you stories of people associated with software as makers or consumers.
In every episode, we talk to people on their own personal and professional journeys.
Their interests and approach to work and life in a free flowing conversational format. We hope that you will be able to draw your inspiration from their experiences and insights.
These podcasts are made possible by PM Power Consulting, who have helped individuals, teams, and organizations on their delivery excellence journeys.
In a freewheeling conversation with my colleague Vasu from PM Power Consulting, he shares his experiences starting with a career in Tata Steel, building software products when he was at Wipro and Novell, and how he became a coach. Listen on as he reveals interesting nuggets while going back and forth between past and present experiences. Thank you, Vasu, and a very warm welcome to you to this episode of the Software People Stories. It's wonderful to have a fellow PM Parian share their stories. So, how did you start on this journey of software development? Where did it all begin?
So it was like most people from my generation, I think, it was an accidental journey. So what happened is that when I was in my final year, you actually have a lot of companies come and interview. So in my particular final year, there was a big change that companies, software companies used to come and pick just one or two people. But this, in my year, they actually picked 25 of them. So there was a big interest in doing software development, and then it so happened that I also qualified in one of the interviews and started my career at Tata Steel Jamshedpur, working on Burroughs mainframes. So it was an accidental start, though I had done a few courses in my fourth year and final year on computers. I had not decided which way to go, but since this opportunity came up, I got started on this.
Oh, thank you. What was it about mainframes and how did that journey evolve while you were at Tata Steel? And then where did you go from there?
Yeah, okay. So it's interesting. I started my work at Tata Steel as an operations person, so which was like a little bit disappointing. So we were actually expected to start the machine, stop the machine, and then in those days we used to have disk drives and tapes. We are expected to mount those disk drives and tapes. So we were very unhappy. We thought that we'll be doing some programming and developing some systems, and then Tata Steel, I understood later on, were worried because the computers were new and they thought that we should have actually qualified people who can man that. So very soon, because of this interest and then this aspiration, shifted to doing programming and started working on various systems. And in those days, what actually stuck to me was like couple of examples which was given by my department head. So he was telling that what is the benefit that you can get by computerization, how do we make a difference. So I don't know, it was like many years back, even before I started working, there was a big railway strike. So the example the Tisco head of the department of data processing, as we used to call it, told is that when that happened, because we were computerized, we were able to print all the invoices, paperwork, etc. for trucks. Actually, what you do for a train, you have to do multiple times, and we did not have any impact. So that was the benefit he shared at the time of computerization, which actually, I felt like, yeah, that's something which is good. And the other thing is they used to have something called a PLOP, so plant operation report. So it used to be a 132 column report, one sheet, which used to actually capture all the statistics of all the smelters, plants, and different units of Tisco, Tata Steel, and then present it to the top management. So I saw that like how that information is so critical, and then if that report doesn't go on time, all hell would break loose. So that's how it started, and then I like realized the benefits of computerization, and and how it impacts the people in the organization, how it helps them manage the organization better.
That's really fascinating. The two thoughts that actually came to my mind was a fantastic example of going digital and the perhaps a very good example of data management in some sense, right? A 132 column report. I wonder how big the sheet of paper was.
Yeah, it would be like, see what you can, I can make a guess what you have as A4 would be slightly smaller than 80 column. So you can make it like another maybe one and a half, between 1.5 to 2 times of the A4 width. That's what it is. I think I still see these printers in many old banks and all. They still have this, and I think if you are an SBI account holder, your passbook may be getting printed on something like this in some of the branches.
That's interesting. Maybe next time I step into a bank, I'll make sure that I pay attention to this. So, what happened after that, Vasu? Where did you go?
Yeah. So after that, so once I got introduced into software and programming, so the next step as it happens was like I did not want to continue working in Jamshedpur, Bangalore being my hometown, where I was just where I was there for my schooling till my fourth standard. I wanted to come back here, and I started looking for opportunities. So then, even when I was in even when I was at college, we used to actually have advertisements from Wipro come in the magazines, and it would have actually the background would be like the banded thing which appears on a computer printout for the line printers. So I had heard about Wipro, and I heard that they were doing very good work, and a couple of my friends had moved here, and then they said the work is really interesting. They are developing products, they are doing new things. So I wanted to get a better job and also shift to my hometown, and I joined Wipro. It happened pretty casually. I just came to visit my grandparents, and then I just dropped into my Wipro office to meet my friends, and I happened to meet his manager. And immediately I think there was another call, and then I was like up and ready to go work at Wipro.
So, what were some of your early days at Wipro like? Did you work on products? Did you write software? What were those experiences like?
Yeah, it was like a big change. I was developing systems for internal use at Tata Steel. Here we are developing products. So what hit me is that like we have to make many tries to get a successful product. So initial years, I would say, is that we worked on multiple things. We used to generate ideas. We used to try to make it into a product. And then one more thing which happened was that the IBM PC was introduced. And then if I remember right, the very first IBM PC manufactured in India was purchased by Wipro. And then the direction was that let's try to create products for the IBM mainframes. So we actually, as an organization, had our own version of Word, our own version of Excel. We used to call it Lotus 123. We used to have something for database, and then we used to have something in the accounting area. So these were the regular products. Plus, we used to try to do something which will be innovative. And then, we used to feel that if you get a product on the IBM PC, the volumes will be huge, and then you will make a lot of revenue. So it was product development. It was frustrating because we used to create a lot of products, and then not all of them would succeed. Some had mild success, some had greater success, but eventually with collaboration or with a key idea coming from a person in the US, we were able to create a product called InstaPlan, which was the project management package for the IBM PCs. And the unique factor about that was like any other product management package was costing in the order of $3,000, and we were selling this in the range of $150. So that was one of the major successes we had when we were developing products at Wipro.
So, is it fair to say that you were perhaps ahead of Microsoft?
That's an interesting question. No, Microsoft was there because they used to develop the operating system, right? Our products would use MS-DOS or like the disk operating system. But yeah, I mean, if you say that the key folks from Wipro What happened actually was like many of the people at Wipro, I think about 7 to 8 of them were hired by Microsoft, and they went there and developed products. And I think after that, I should say, they were able to do a better project management package. And if you see MS Project currently, it has some of my old team members working on it, and they are the chief architects there, and they manage the whole product. Yeah, so some of the talent from here went there, but of course they were also developing products, and we had no competition to MS Word and things like that. But yeah, so
So, what were some of the takeaways and lessons from this product development experience that you have had and can perhaps share with some of our listeners?
yeah, basically, one thing I would like to share is that we were very excited about products, we are excited about operating systems. And then I also started growing up in my career and getting lesser technical and more managerial. And but I was not very comfortable with it. But then there is one incident which stays in my mind, which actually kind of uh, set I mean help me uh, get settled to what I'm doing. So we used to do a lot of work for Unix System Labs, and then we heard that there is a person from Unix System Labs who has come to Wipro, and he's going to give a talk. So his talk was in some hotel. It was scheduled at 2 o'clock, and we came to know very late. So we actually requested them to start start the talk at 3 o'clock, and we all rushed to listen to him. And then I thought that I'll be learning about Unix internals and all that great stuff. So the person who was speaking was a leader and a manager. So he asked all of us a question: so what is the key ingredient in software? So we all said all sorts of things. So maybe it's a precursor to something similar to what Vishu asks in his things about what is software. So then the answer which he actually revealed, or which expected from us, is that people. So he said that if you want to do good software development, you have to focus on people, because people are the ones who develop software. So I remember feeling like walking out of that thing, saying that what is he talking about? But then suddenly, slowly it dawned on me that what he says is very true. You cannot keep on writing code forever. You have to actually encourage others to write, ensure that they do the good job. So that was like one incident which actually stays in my mind. And then I said, yeah. So basically, if you have want to do good software, you have to have good people. They should be motivated, because they are the ones creating the product. And of course, you need to go out and get the ideas. And then one of the challenges we have been facing for product development, subsequently I moved to Novel, and you're also familiar with what was happening there, was like that to give what needs to be developed. So we used to have inbound product management, outbound product management. The key challenge we face in India is knowing what should be the feature set, what should be the roadmap. This information you have to get from your customers. Most of the time, customers are based in the US more than in India, because products typically sell there more and get revenue. So that's one of the challenges face. Once that is there, the next thing you have to deal with is ensuring that you have the right team and they are able to deliver whatever you are set out to do.
So, on the topic of customers and interacting with them so that, product
Mhm,
managers and engineers get the right kind of inputs at the right time. I can
mhm,
completely resonate with that challenge. How,
mhm.
in your experience, did you deal with this challenge and what worked for you?
Yeah, basically, this was a challenge, and it was not that we were able to solve it very well. But we used to have channels to actually the product owners, and then their access to their customer base. What we also used to try to do is, whenever anybody is traveling abroad for whatever reason, make sure they visit a few customers without any agenda, go there and understand what they are doing, what their challenges are. And then also, like one key area where you can get a lot of feedback is the kind of issues and defects that are raised against your products. So that is one thing which gives you a lot of insight on what customers are trying to do and what problem they are facing. Besides that, staying in touch with the interface who are actually dealing with the customers. So I started actually ensuring that I sync up with them either once in 2 weeks or once in a month and understand what is happening, ensuring that whenever my team is close to the customer, they get an opportunity to meet them and understand what their problems are. And again, whatever feedback comes to you in whatever form is a good input on what they would like to see in the product and what challenges they are facing.
That's some good lessons for people, and not to get discouraged, because I've also seen many people get discouraged saying that I really don't have an opportunity to meet customers, to sort of give up halfway. So I hope this is helpful for some of our listeners.
Yeah, that is correct. And one more thing we used to do is like even in my initial days at Wipro and subsequently later, we used to actually look at competitive products. Okay, sometimes we used to buy and then we used to use them. And then sometimes, we used to take evaluation copy and look at them. That is to give you some other kind of inputs on what is happening in your area of product. So we remember like we used to go for a computer show. I forget the name of that show, but then we used to come back with lot of brochures and lot of demo software. And then, as soon as they come back, they would distribute this to everybody in the team, and we would go and start looking at what the products are doing, what the brochures are talking about, like how better they are compared to our product. So looking at competition, their product, their evaluation software, or even buying them and using them also helps.
Definitely. I mean, these are some of the methods that I remember we used to employ at Novell and some of the later companies that I also worked at. Procure competitive products, install them, see how they work with or against our products, and then try and derive some good competitive insights from it to help us, either develop products better. Yeah, this is something that I remember too. Vasu, I know that you have had long tenures in 3 companies.
Mhm.
What has been a sticky factor for you to have stayed at each of those companies for so long?
That's an interesting question, actually. See, I don't know, maybe it goes with my nature. So I'm actually kind of a very loyal person, and then I put a lot of effort to make things work. And then, I used to feel when I used to work at any organization that if I am leaving the organization, then it is like I am ditching them, I am doing something negative. So that's one of the reasons which actually put me stay in one place. And then like I used to feel, oh, if I go, then what my manager will feel, what my team will feel. Not that they would miss me a lot, they would miss me a lot or anything like that, but I used to have that feeling. But then the only thing which prompted me to step out is when I remember, like one day I came home, and then my parents told me that there's a bouquet for you. So I was like wondering why somebody has sent me a bouquet. And this was like after I completed 10 years in Wipro Systems Limited. So then I saw it was from my president, and he said, congratulations for completing 10 years and all the hard work. So that was a trigger for me. I thought, oh, I think I should move on. So
That's such a strange trigger.
yeah, it's a strange trigger. And then, again, similarly, if you remember the next organization, we used to get a memento, like a watch, after completing 5 years. So that was one time when I started thinking, hey, I think it's time to move on. And then again, you have some milestones like that. So basically, I like try to make things work. And the problem is, if you try to make things work seriously, you become successful or you are able to do it. And then what prompted me is basically ensuring that I don't stay stuck in one place. So whenever I felt there was a big milestone, or like you have finished 5 years, 10 years, you start looking at other opportunities or what you could do differently or what interests you.
So the other thing that I also noticed with you in this short time that I have worked very closely with you, what makes you such a strong reviewer?
I don't know what makes you a strong reviewer. I don't know. It's basically see, some of the things you learn along the way. Wipro, as you know, they do very good people development. They give you a whole lot of training. So I remember, like when I was going through some training, they said that if there is a mistake in your letter or in a document you type, it means that you yourself have not read what you expect other people to read. Okay, so that's like disrespect for that person. Okay, so this is something which stayed with me. So when I review something, I know that somebody else is reviewing, and then somebody else is going to read and benefit from it, or take information away from it. And if that is not accurate, and if there is a mistake, it doesn't reflect correctly on you, it is kind of like disrespecting. So that's something which prompts me to do. And another thing which stays with me, I don't know where I learned this, in one of my trainings, is that uh, a simple example was given that you have a meeting and 10 people are there in the meeting, and you come 10 minutes late. So what's the impact? So basically, one of the trainers, I don't remember in which organization, said basically you have wasted 100 minutes of your time. So that's another factor which I keep in mind even when I write email or anything like that. So many times you see people send attachments and expect you to read. So, but I said, like, if you have read the attachment, it is better that you take an excerpt from it and put it in the mail so that people get it. Why are you sending the attachment? So that's another factor, is ensuring that the right information goes to the people. So if you put yourself in the shoes of the customer or the person who is going to read and see what will give him value, what will benefit him, then you automatically tend to do a better job of review, is what I feel.
There was a tip there for me for sure, Vasu. So thank you very much. After your career with Novell, what made you move into the world of training and coaching?
See, I got this feedback from many people that I'm a very good observer, and then I observe a lot of things, and then I'm very good at it. Okay, so uh, and then I also have been told that it is just good to have you as an observer and get inputs from you so that we can know what's happening and the organization can improve. Okay, so that was one thing which actually helped me become a better coach or start looking at coaching as an option. After working for 10 plus years at Novell, I moved to a company called Spikesource, which was doing open source software development. So there it didn't work out. I left after a year, and I was deciding what is it that I should do next. Then I met JV, and then he told me there's an opportunity to do project management training. And then because I had worked on Microsoft project in the past and said we would like to utilize your expertise on Microsoft project, time management, and things like that. So I said, okay, let me give it a try. But once I came here and gave it a try, I liked it very much and I started doing it. And I remember, like, when I came on board, Gopal mentioned one thing to me. He said, like, when you're growing, what happens is that you're an individual contributor, and then you are in full control of what you do. Then after some time, you become a tech lead. You do some work, but you don't have any control on what other people do. You have some authority. Then you become a project manager, and then it is even more reduced. Then you become a director or something. It's even more reduced. And when you become a consultant, you have actually no hold on the people, but you still have to make them do what is right, make them listen to you. So I like that as a challenge. And then I said, what is it that I can do so that people listen to me? Then the simple answer is make them see how it is going to help them. So I like that part. And as part of my very first engagement at PM Power, we had training followed by coaching. So when I started coaching, and then I was able to observe what's happening in the individual, in his team, and able to provide inputs. So that actually kept me going, and I enjoyed doing that. So that's basically what helped me stay and enjoy what I'm doing.
Thanks, Vasu. So, what is it that makes a good observer? It's a valuable trait, a valuable skill for consultants and coaches to nurture. So, what makes a good observer, in your opinion or in your experience?
Yeah, I think, like, one thing is, like, you should be a bit curious about what is happening, and then be open to observing what is happening without putting your value judgment. Okay, so I think it's something you have to like to do it. And as long as you are curious, and as long as you're open to seeing different points of view or different perspectives, you will see you'll enjoy doing this, because every time you see something, you'll see people behaving in different way, the same person behaving in a different way in different context. So, and then Yeah, the other thing is like you also do this because you genuinely want to help the person. So whoever you're coaching, whoever you are working with, you want to help them. If you want to help them, basically, you have to get some data points, get some information, and that information gets you can get by observing them. So if you have the intent that I want to help this person, then first you have to understand that person. And when you have this intent, then automatically you tend to become a good observer because there is a goal for your observation.
That's a good tip for people at least wanting to consider a line of coaching. What have been some standout moments from so many years of coaching and training people?
Yeah, actually, so you will get feedback, okay? And then actually, I remember that when I was transitioning from one role to another, so my manager was a person by name Attanu Banerjee. He was at Wipro and he was my senior at my college, but I did not know him. He was pretty much senior to him. So he used to tell a lot of things, and I used to get very impressed with him. So then, I went and told him, "Sir, I learned a lot from you. I really thank you." So then he said something very simple and which still stays with me. He says, "Vasu, it's like this. If it was not me, it would be somebody else. The thing is, you are actually willing to listen. You are willing to absorb. That's why it is happening. And then it's not that I want to just put it down or belittle this or not say this is a great thing. So everybody will get a teacher along the way. The time has to be right and the context has to be right. You just have to look for it and it will automatically happen. So many times, so that was very interesting. So it's basically, you understand that a coach cannot make an impact unless the coachee is willing to absorb, and then he has to take certain knocks and he has to be at a certain stage in his life and career to listen to you. So it is just that match happens. So you're willing to show the way and the other person is willing to accept your way and give it a try. So it's basically this. So continuously when you are coaching, you have to look for that. When is the person ready to listen to you? When he thinks that, I know he is in a receptive mode, and you can get him into receptive mode to some extent, but otherwise it has to happen on his own. So that's many times people come and tell me that, they benefited a lot from me. They really learned a lot. And every time I repeat whatever my senior Atanu told me long back. So it was basically, you are ready to listen, you are at the right time, and you found me. If it was not me, you would have found somebody else. So it just happens for everybody. You don't have to worry.
Okay, that's a simple enough message. How is it that people can actually take away this message or either be an effective coach or even be coached? A lot of people keep looking for, a guru or a teacher or a role model, and somehow come into this whole journey of, getting engaged with a coach. But yet, many people feel that, if they have some sort of a perception about coaching, if they are nominated for coaching, then they feel that something is wrong with them or they are not performing correctly. So, have you had such experiences? And how have you been able to sort of turn people around in terms of how they accept coaching? I understand that this is very contrarian to what you just said, but I'm
Mhm.
curious if you had such an experience and how you were able to turn it around.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question, and then it's at times challenging. But it so happened that whenever I was coaching, either the coaching was kind of tagged along with a project management workshop, and it was said that basically subsequent to this workshop, you have this coaching interactions which will help you ensure that you apply what you learned on the job. So it was that kind of you know um, that kind of feeling that why am I picked up for coaching was not there. And even when you look at agile coaching, it's pretty much accepted that a coach has to be there. So I have not encountered situations where coaching like they did not want to be coached. Yeah, there are some cases where people are averse to it. So then basically, see, one of the things I try to tell them is like this, that I am a coach, your organization is spending some money on me and I'm available to you. Okay, it's up to you whether you want to make use of me or not. And if you make use of me, you benefit. If you don't make use, then it goes away. But just consider that it's like there is something available to you. what is it that you can do so that you can leverage that. And it doesn't matter, whether if you don't leverage, you don't lose anything, but you don't gain. So that's something. So many times actually, and I also like subtly put in that your organization is unique in identifying a coach. This is not something which every organization provides. So you are privileged. It's something different. You can actually check it out with your peers. Is anybody getting this kind of support? And the other angle I bring in is like, which is related to what Gopal told me, is like, even though as a coach you will not have any hold on them, but the advantage you get is that you are neutral. You don't have any axe to grind. You are not doing their performance review or deciding their increments. So what you say will be better heard. So these are some of the things I try to share with them. And I think most of the times it works, because they realize that it's something they can leverage. It is something unique they are getting. It's Coaching is not something which every organization provides for everybody. And then providing this perspective that you have nothing to gain, nothing to lose, and it's not like I'm your manager. So these things sometimes helps, but there are cases when even you do this, then the person is not still interested, but you cannot help it in such cases.
Yeah, that was an interesting perspective. So yeah, I wish sometimes I'm thinking that, maybe if people just were coaching each other rather than having a formalized structure, maybe things would have been different in the world. I wonder.
Yeah, that's a very good point actually. When actually I am coaching the Scrum Masters and all, so it's luckily like we have a concept called a Scrum Master cohort. Okay, so wherein what happens is that we get to interact with a few Scrum Masters who are not being coached by you; they are being coached by others. Okay, so then what I see is like they come and then say, this is the problem I'm having. And then what I do is like I keep quiet. I say, okay, can anybody else like try to answer this question or deal with it? And at many times, even though the other Scrum Master has not faced that situation, they are able to come up with solutions. So then what I also found is that instead of a coach telling something may work, another peer telling that this is something which will work has more value, because it's in the context of that organization. So definitely, like, as like wherever we are doing this coaching, we try to create a community of practice. So I encourage that. Actually, many times when a problem is being faced, I encourage them to go and talk to other people and listen to them. So though sometimes they say, why should I do it, but then always they come back and say, yeah, it's good. So that's something which we should do, actually help talking to each other, sharing their issues, and then learning lessons from each other is a very good point.
I think that's a very, very interesting point, Vasu. In fact, we should look at, perhaps having more podcasts about this topic, learning through communities and peer learning and sharing. I wonder if that'll make a difference in perhaps even an education system or a learning system. There's so much power to it. There's so much more acceptance with it rather than a formalized, structured way of learning. Not to discount that completely, but would be nice
Yeah,
if it can be complemented with.
yeah, I think certainly it's something which we should do, and I feel some of the organizations are doing it to some extent. So what happens is like this, it is easy to get started, it is easy to go for some time. So sustenance is the challenge. So you have to do something to actually sustain it. So like I remember one of the common coaching communities of practice, I found that people were kind of not coming to the meeting, or the participation had decreased. So I just asked the VP to just walk in for a meeting. Okay. So like he just came in for a meeting, and then of course participation was low. But then when people heard that he had come, then the thing went up. It is basically like they felt it's important because he is coming and spending 1 hour. So sometimes it works. Then again, after 6 months, it was going down. You have to try something different. So creating this and getting started is easy. Sustaining it is a challenge which you have to keep working at.
Nice, nice, Vasu. Thank you. So outside of work, what is it that you really enjoy doing?
Yeah, basically, I like to read a lot. Of course, off late, I'm not able to read, but then, I like reading a lot, and then traveling. And I like to travel to nearby places so that I can drive my car and put all my luggage in it without having to pack it. So that's something I like to do. So off late reading has come down, but travel is happening.
Reading and traveling, all time favorites, aren't they? So, as we come towards the end of our interesting conversation, is there a message or any tips that you'd like to leave for our listeners?
Yeah, actually, what I would like to say is like something in the area of communication and interaction. So along with doing schedule management, I used to also do communication. So one of the things I learned is like, when you are communicating, a lot of things gets picked up, even, without your logical brain processing. So like your emotions, like the mood you are in, etc. So uh, and this is like processed by your reptilian brain, and you don't have to spend any cycles on it. So because of this, one thing I always tell is that whenever you are interacting with somebody else, you have to be very clear about the intent. So if you're trying to fake it, if you're just trying to be nice to a person and trying to pretend that you are helpful, they will catch even without their logical mind coming into picture. So be clear about your intent, and then you will succeed. Okay, so that's something I'd leave out to. So you have to be genuine. So if you feel that you don't have to, you're not able to help somebody, don't interact with him. If you go and try to pretend that you are helping, it will be caught. And if you are genuinely helping, that message will go through, and you'll be able to give any message which you think may not be accepted by the other person. But if your intent is clear, you'll be able to pass that message across to the other person.
That was a very simple yet very, very helpful message, Vasu. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you. I am looking forward to more conversations and perhaps more podcasts on specific topics or anything that you would be interested in sharing. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Chitra. It was a very interesting session and helped me revive some of my old memories. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
If you like the show and would like to share your experiences with the community or know someone else who might want to do that, please get in touch with us at podcast@pm-powerconsulting.com. That is podcast at pm-powerconsulting.com.
Please rate the show on Podchaser, Stitcher, iTunes, or any other podcast client that you find us on. Please also share our episodes with your friends and others in your network. If you or anyone you know would like to be featured on our show, do write to us at this email address: podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.